In the second year of my overseas studies, my fiancée Willow was exposed for cheating on me. However, I didn't mind at all. I even cheerfully asked, "Babe, got yourself a new boyfriend?" Willow, eyes full of longing, replied, "You have no idea. I've never met someone so hardworking and driven. He's diligent and persistent, even when he stays up all night gaming. He never skips morning classes. He works part-time to support himself, even though his graduation was delayed. He still delivers food every single day." So, I quickly asked Willow's best friend Maria to look into him for me. Maria, speechless, said, "Didn't expect young Master Wang to be such a simp. Willow already has a new guy. And you're still clinging on like that?" But I replied, looking deeply emotional, "I love her like my life depends on it. If she's being tricked by some loser, how could I ever forgive myself?" What none of them knew was that from the beginning, all I ever really wanted was the Lu Corporation behind Willow Lu. Chapter 1. 2 years ago, in pursuit of self-improvement, I enrolled in a top financial institution overseas. The elders in my family advised me, "Get married to Willow before you leave." But time was tight, and I was rushing to leave, so I promised both families that I'd marry her once I returned after graduation. Willow's best friend Maria said to me, meaningfully, 2 years, aren't you afraid Willow might change her heart? Change her heart? If someone really wants to fall out of love, even if you tie them to your side 24/7, it's useless. Didn't expect Maria's words to come true. After just a year abroad, rumors started that Willow had a boyfriend. At first, I didn't pay much attention. I figured she was just messing around with the guy. It would naturally fizzle out. After all, she's the heiress of a wealthy family. No way she'd really fall for some broke dude. But to my surprise, Willow seemed to actually be catching feelings. Unlike most arranged marriages between powerful families, Willow and I had a genuine bond. We grew up together, childhood sweethearts. We often gamed together online. I first noticed something was off during one of our gaming sessions. It was just a 20-minute match, but she called me by the wrong name 5 times. That was the first time I learned. Her boyfriend's name was Makoto. After the game ended, we started a review of our play. We had the upper hand that match, but we lost because Willow was distracted. She awkwardly explained that she wasn't feeling well, which caused her poor performance. Jokingly, I teased, "Oh ho, got yourself a crush." Blushing, she replied, "Shut up." Her voice came through the phone. Shy and flustered, I said, "It's just a game. Don't get too invested." But I wasn't talking about the game. Willow was smart. She understood, but she chose to play dumb. She casually brought up the guy in our conversation. She said, "George, I recently met a college graduate. He's from a rough background, but he's really hardworking." Her tone was full of admiration. She continued, "I've never seen anyone so driven. He can study and work part-time at the same time. Now that he's graduated, he works a day job and delivers food at night." Hearing Willow speak like that, I instinctively glanced at the towering stack of academic journals on my desk. My pen kept moving, jotting down today's lecture notes, while tracking the stock market, and casually chatting with Willow on and off. Plenty of people work side jobs after hours. But somehow, this guy named Makoto managed to catch Willow's eye. It was her infatuation that put a golden halo on him. I saw through it but said nothing, and asked Maria to keep a closer watch for me. Maria laughed. "Didn't think young Master Wang would be such a simp. Willow already has a new guy, and you're still chasing after her." My eyes stayed glued to the computer screen. With a quick mouse click, 100,000 yuan landed in my account. I chuckled. If my childhood sweetheart runs off with someone else, where would I even go to cry? Even I didn't believe that line. I just didn't want the Lu Corporation falling into the hands of some random nobody, from beginning to end. What I truly wanted was the Lu family empire behind Willow Lu. Only by joining the Wang and Lu families could we create a business empire like no other, and both were indispensable. Chapter 2. The year I finally graduated and returned to China, Willow still hadn't gotten tired of her new boyfriend. This was the first time she had stood me up because of a guy. When I walked out of the airport, the one who came to pick me up was actually Willow's best friend, Maria. She waved at me with a bright, playful smile curving her delicate features. She said, "Willow Jie's boyfriend is sick, so she's taking care of him. Let's go." Without even glancing at her, I pulled out my phone to call the butler to pick me up. Maria snatched my phone away irritably, quickly ending the call, and forced me into her car. She said, "You really don't want to see me, huh?" Her voice carried a playful pout, but her eyes were slightly red. Ignoring the heat in her gaze, I said, "Maria, you're my fiancé's best friend." Maria smiled slyly at that, her eyes seductive like silk threads. "Your fiancé already has a boyfriend. You can find a girlfriend too, can't you?" When I didn't respond, Maria pouted and climbed into the car. While we were in the car, Willow called. She said she had begged Father Lou for a long time and had finally secured a 20 million investment for me. I was quite satisfied with her guilt-driven compensation. Her voice softened, cautiously explaining, "I'm sorry, something came up and I couldn't make it." "Have you already left the airport?" I replied. "Yeah." The next second, a man's voice groaned in pain on her end, and she hung up. From the corner of her eye, Maria glanced at me and asked, "Even with all that, you're still going to marry her?" I raised an eyebrow. "Do you think I'm marrying just her?" She seductively, almost too bluntly, tried to tempt me. "What's so good about her anyway? My family's not any worse than the Lou family. If you have to choose someone, why not choose me? At least I'm cleaner than she is," I said darkly. "The Lou family only has one daughter." Maria was speechless. Chapter 3. At the welcome banquet, Willow arrived late, with glaring hickeys on her neck catching everyone's eye. I almost burst out laughing. How could anyone be this stupid? So stupid that I couldn't even be bothered to respond. This was no different from throwing yourself to the slaughter. The room buzzed with whispers. Lou father and Lou mother scolded Willow harshly, making her kneel in the living room for 2 nights. It was only after I pleaded on her behalf that she was let off. And because of those kiss marks, our engagement was moved up. She looked at me and said, "George, please don't be mad. It's not what you think." I opened the ointment and handed it to her, my expression indifferent and my tone casual. "What's there to be mad about? It's not like I like you." Her dark, beautiful eyes froze for a moment, unable to recover for a long time. I looked at her face, the only face that once stirred my heart but now did nothing, and said, "Willow, this is just a business marriage. We each get what we want. You don't need to apologize to me." She frowned slightly, then muttered like she was sulking, "You're right. It's a business arrangement. Liking each other is the least important part." I packed up the first aid kit and said, "Why are you being all passive-aggressive now? If I didn't know you had a boyfriend, I might have thought you were actually into me." She blinked, surprised. "You knew?" I laughed. Did she really think I was an idiot? Those obvious marks, what else could they be? "It's not like a dog bit her," I said. "That's not important. What's important is we each do our own thing, but don't bring it home. Grandma's old." I paused, then added seriously, "Besides, if a scandal breaks out, it'll affect the company stock." Willow pursed her lips, pulled out the hair tie from her hair in frustration, and said, "There's nothing going on. He and I could never be together. We're the ones who—" I cut her off. "No need to explain. The Civil Affairs Bureau is still open. Let's go get the marriage certificate." The paperwork went quickly. On the way there, Willow's boyfriend called her 7 or 8 times. In the end, she just turned off her phone, her eyes filled with irritation. She asked me, "What are your plans now that you're back?" I answered honestly, "The elders hope we'll have a child soon." Her expression turned strange, ears slightly red. Even her voice faltered. Off pitch, she pressed her lips together and said, I'm not ready yet." I smiled at her and said, "There's nothing to prepare for. Just remember, what I want is a child of the Wong family." Her eyes flickered, and a storm of anger rose within them. She bit her lip. "George, what do you mean by that?" I didn't bother to explain further. I had made myself clear, and she was smart enough to understand. I didn't care who my wife was, as long as the family behind her held weight in the business world, with wealth, power, and influence that could benefit my career. That was enough for me, I figured. Compared to something as vague and unreliable as love, I'd rather leave my child with endless wealth and privilege. As long as my child could inherit the legacies of both the Wong and Liu families, they wouldn't have to worry about anything for generations. Chapter 4. While Willow went back to catch up on sleep, I went to the company to complete the onboarding process. As agreed, I took over one of the Liu family's subsidiaries, a company that had been bleeding money year after year. Coincidentally, it sold the same type of products as my own family's business. Mr. and Mrs. Liu handed it to me as a training opportunity, an arrangement that was both calculated and thoughtful. Having just returned to the country, I needed to produce results quickly, raise my personal value, and secure a firm foothold in this chaotic and cutthroat circle. Just as I got into the car with a stack of documents, Willow's boyfriend appeared out of nowhere and blocked my way. He was dressed in a sharp, crisp suit, but every movement of his felt exaggerated, like he was imitating the mannerisms of some high-level executive he wished to become but clearly hadn't figured out how. Especially his eyes. On the surface they were clear, like a freshly graduated student. But beneath that, the ambition lurking inside might fool Willow, but not me. He enunciated every word like he was reading off a teleprompter. "Hello, Mr. Wong. I'm Willow's boyfriend. My name is Makoto." As I flipped through the poorly done financial reports, frustration welled up inside me. The old-timers in this company were clearly giving me a hard time, a classic power play. "Mr. Wong," he said, visibly annoyed, "are you so guilty you can't even look me in the eye?" I looked at him calmly and asked, "What do you want?" He furrowed his brow and said politely, "Well, I don't think this is the best place to talk. There's a cafe nearby. Why don't we go there?" After the server brought over our coffees, I asked for a pen and calmly continued working, circling all the loopholes in the documents and forwarding them to my secretary. Makoto waited a long while for me to speak, but when I didn't, the perfect smile he had plastered on his face started to crack. He finally said, "Mr. Wong, you've studied abroad. Surely you understand concepts like free will and personal dignity, right? I assume you're also against arranged marriages." A giant question mark flashed through my head. I looked at him like he was a complete idiot. I asked, "Why would I be against it? Do you even know how much money this marriage alliance will make us? I'm not insane. Why would I oppose that? Do I really look like someone who'd give up money for the sake of pride?" He stared at me in disbelief. "But she doesn't even like you. This isn't just hurting us, it's hurting you too. Is money really worth sacrificing happiness?" I had nothing to say to that, so I simply replied, "Money is my happiness. Does it matter if she likes me? With enough money, there'll always be people who do." He gritted his teeth. "Feelings based on material things are fake. They disappear the moment you have nothing." I chuckled, took a sip of coffee, and said slowly, "Oh, you're noble. So tell me, what kind of feelings don't disappear?" I continued, "By your logic, feelings based on looks fade with age. Feelings based on intellect fade too, because people's minds evolve. People are always changing. Any feeling, no matter what it's based on, can disappear because of that change. So really, what's the difference?" Then I sneered. "And frankly, it's laughable to hear that kind of idealism coming from a guy who lives off his girlfriend." He slammed the table and stood up. "How dare you say I'm a freeloader? I deliver food 12 hours a day. I earn my money with my own hands." I leaned back on the couch and replied, word by word, "Quit joking. That outfit you're wearing, and that watch, there's no way you could afford them even if you delivered takeout until your wheels were smoking. Do you have some kind of performer's personality disorder? Is it not exhausting pretending to be some hard-working underdog? Here's some life advice. If you're living off a woman, don't talk to me about independence or free will. It's ridiculous. You can't even fake it well. At best, you're useless, and forcing the image just makes you look dumb and useless." Enraged and humiliated, he grabbed the coffee cup and smashed it against me. "You homewrecker, who the hell are you to humiliate me like this?" I looked furiously at the spot on my hand where the hot coffee had burned me and flicked it dry. If I hadn't blocked it with my hand, he would have smashed the cup straight into my face. The next second, I stood up, grabbed him by the collar, and punched him twice square in the nose. I said coldly, "The marriage between the Wong and Liu families has been public news for a while now. Maybe try using your brain before you speak. Is proving how stupid you are really that urgent?" I added, "I'm not a fool like Willow. If you come at me again, it won't just be a couple of punches." Just then, Liu mother called, "George, the items have been delivered. Do you have time to come by now?" I let go of Makoto, grabbed my suit jacket, and walked out as I replied, "Yes, Auntie, I'm on my way." When I arrived, Liu mother saw my burned hand and cried out, "What happened to your hand?" I smiled. "Just some idiot stirring up drama. He was spreading rumors about Willow and even asked me to give her up to him. I couldn't let that slide, so I taught him a lesson. It's nothing. Auntie, let's talk business." What I meant was simple. I didn't intend to waste a second of my time cleaning up her daughter's mess. I had a mountain of work to do, and I wasn't going to waste a shred of attention on that pathetic couple. Later that night, when I returned home, Willow was on the balcony talking on the phone, her face cold. She frowned and snapped, "Makoto, have you lost your mind? What were you thinking?" Then she said, "He hit you." She rolled her eyes. "You deserved it. Who do you think you are? He's my husband. And you're nothing. What were you thinking? Marry me. You've got nothing, no money, no future. What were you going to marry me with? Are you brain dead? You think you're worthy of me? I must have really spoiled you." When she turned and saw me, the coldness in her eyes softened. She hung up and walked over, speaking gently. "George, how's your hand?" I replied, "It's fine now." The doctor applied some ointment. She apologized. "What happened with Makoto is my fault, actually." I cut her off. "Yes, it was your fault, and I don't want there to be a next time. Whether it's my face or my hand, if either is hurt, it affects my work. Neither you nor he can afford the consequences." Willow pressed her lips together and said quietly, "You should rest early. I'll handle the wedding preparations." I opened my laptop and kept working, not even looking at her. "Keep it simple. I don't have time to plan it. Handle it yourself." Her tone cooled. "George, I have work too." I laughed. "You've got time for romance, but no time for a wedding. Then maybe we just don't have one. We're already legally married. The ceremony is just for show." Her eyes reddened as she held back her emotions. "George, are you saying that out of anger, or do you mean it?" I looked up at her, emotionless. "I mean it. Time is money. I don't have time to argue with you. You're not worth it." She turned and slammed the door behind her. Moments later, I heard the sound of a car engine starting outside. Chapter 5. Early the next morning, my secretary drove over to pick me up. "Mr. Wong, the funds have been pulled. I've also notified everyone. The meeting starts at 8 a.m. Just as I arrived at the entrance, I saw Makoto again, that unwelcome pest. My annoyance instantly ignited. I dialed Willow and snapped. Are you blind? Look at what kind of trash you brought into our lives. He shows up at my work again and again. Willow, do you think I'm as idle as you are? Makoto heard my voice and turned around, sobbing and stumbling toward me. Mr. Wong, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was speechless. Both of his hands were wrapped up in thick bandages. He looked like some pathetic knockoff of Doraemon. Willow's cold voice came from the phone. You see now, satisfied, young Master Wong. I muttered, you're both out of your damn minds. After I bought back the company shares from the parasitic leeches inside, my secretary began recruiting according to my orders. That evening, while I was still working overtime, Willow showed up. She said, there are a few details about the wedding I need to discuss with your parents. I'll go with you tonight. My fingers froze over the keyboard. I gave a stiff hum of acknowledgement, grabbed my coat, and led her to the garage. Seeing the clothes, jewelry, and skincare products she'd prepared as gifts for my mother, I frowned. Is that really necessary? I don't want to spend money on her. Willow looked at me and said softly, no matter what, she's still your mother. We drove in silence. The courtyard was empty when we arrived, but when the fingerprint scanner flashed invalid, the fire I'd been holding back began to burn uncontrollably. Ignoring Willow's attempts to stop me, I called someone to break the lock. The moment the door opened, I saw my mother smiling sweetly, chatting warmly with my father's illegitimate son, asking if he was tired from work, whether he was eating well. Rage burned through me. Ever since I'd left home as an adult, not once had she called me, but here she was, doting on the bastard child my father had with another woman. Is this normal? No, it's fucked up. This is my mother we're talking about. I looked at Willow and forced the words out slowly, trying not to sound like a stray dog kicked to the curb. Let's go. There's nothing worth discussing with them. Willow clutched my arm, righteous indignation flaring in her voice. This is your home. If anyone should leave, it's him. Sensing the tension, my father sent Martin away. My mother's face twitched with a flash of discomfort, but she quickly forced a smile and came over, saying she'd prepared a little something for Willow. Everything about the place made me feel sick, like I was suffocating. With effort, I patted Willow's hand, still linked around my arm, and said, I'll wait in the car. But by the time Willow came back down, I had already gotten into a fight with Martin, my father's bastard son. My maternal grandparents had only one daughter, my mother. She gave up a life as a wealthy heiress, abandoned the childhood sweetheart arranged for her, and ran away with my father. She loved that man so much she nearly died for him, and drove my grandmother to an early grave in the process. She never involved herself in the company, never cared. It was like she existed for one purpose, to beg for my father's love. She ruined a perfectly good family business. If it weren't for Mrs. Liu, her lifelong friend, stepping in and helping when our funding chain collapsed, my family would have gone bankrupt long ago. The year I took my high school entrance exams, everything at home went to hell. My maternal grandparents passed away one after the other. My father took full control of the company, and the woman he'd been keeping outside brought along a son the same age as me, trying to force her way into the family. My mom clung to me every day, crying, asking what she would do if my dad didn't love her anymore. I was sick of it, and snapped. That night, I climbed over the wall and beat the hell out of that mistress. Then I took a steel pipe and broke one of my dad's legs. I even screamed at my mother, calling her a pathetic coward. And what happened afterward? Not only did my mother refuse to stand by me, she slapped me across the face, twice. She made me go to the hospital and apologize to my father. She yelled, "You ungrateful son, no matter what he did to me, he's still your father. How dare you lay a hand on him?" That just made me even more furious. I got up and slapped her back, hard. I roared, "If he's my father, and if everything between you two is your business, then why the hell are you dumping it on me? You made your bed, you deserve it." Later, Martin, that bastard, started showing up outside my school again and again, mocking me, trying to provoke me. He'd say things like, "Look, Dad just bought me a new game console. Bet you don't have one. This car key, Dad gave it to me for my birthday. Bet you didn't get anything. Know why Dad wasn't home on your birthday? He was with me. George, Dad hates you. He said everything in the Wong family will be mine. You'll get nothing. Sooner or later, I'll kick you out of the Wong family." He'd grin at me like a smug little devil. I punched him square in the face. He was bigger than me. Every time we fought, he beat the crap out of me, but I didn't care. I took every hit with gritted teeth. My mother never once asked about the bruises on me. All she ever did was mope around in self-pity, crying and begging the mistress to give her husband back. Calling her a coward was the one thing I never once regretted. Later on, Martin smashed his own head and framed me for it, claiming I'd attacked him. My mom didn't believe me. She cried, signed the papers with my father, and had me committed to a psychiatric hospital. Sometimes I reached a point where I thought I couldn't keep living. Then I'd think, these people, all of them, are still breathing easy. So why should I be the one to die? No, I would keep living. Even if it was just scraping by, I'd live a long, long life, because I haven't buried any of them yet. Chapter 6. Martin collapsed to the ground, groaning in pain. I had waited far too long for this day. Staring him down, I said, all those years abroad, I trained in boxing and hit the gym every single day. For this, I smashed his head against the floor, over and over, just like he used to beat me down with his size and strength. Willow rushed over, pulling me back in a panic. She wiped the blood from my hands, murmuring, "That's enough. George, calm down. For someone like him, why dirty your own hands?" She made a quick call, and within 10 minutes, 3 bodyguards came and dragged Martin out into the hallway. All I could hear were his screams. Even as I got in the car, my hands were still shaking. I'd replayed this exact scenario in my mind 1,000 times, but when it finally happened, I still trembled. I wasn't as composed or unshakable as I'd always imagined. Not even close. Willow clung tightly to my arm, whispering soothing words in my ear. "It's okay now. It's over. No one's ever going to lay a hand on you again." A sudden ache tore through my chest. Painful memories surged up like floodwaters. Back then, my mother didn't care if I was bruised and bloodied, but Willow did. She took revenge on my behalf. Martin got 3 ribs broken, lost 2 front teeth. He's been lisping ever since. At that time, there wasn't even an engagement between us. We barely had a relationship, but she still stood up for me. Willow smiled at me sweetly and teased, "George, it was nothing. Don't get all emotional on me now." Leaning her head on my shoulder, she whispered, "George, remember back in middle school? Remember how much of a disgusting jerk he was?" And suddenly, I broke down. Tears fell uncontrollably. My limbs went numb. I shoved her away with force, glaring at her with hatred. "Willow," I said through gritted teeth, "the most disgusting person was you. There were many people who had hurt me, but the one I hated the most was Willow." Chapter 7. Our wedding was a grand affair. Maria was the bridesmaid. In the lounge, Maria grabbed my hand and asked, "What do I have to do for you to choose me instead?" I responded with utter indifference. "If you can inherit your family's business empire, then we'll talk." She let go of my hand, lowered her eyes, then suddenly laughed and said, "You really are a practical man." I didn't deny it. She clung to my arm desperately and said, "I don't care. When you marry again, it has to be me." I ignored her. Maria had been spoiled her whole life. Her mother died giving birth to her younger sibling, and her father remarried quickly and had a son. Everyone knew the truth. The family's heir was going to be her younger brother, not her. While I waited for Willow in the bridal suite, I kept working. Since the company's major restructuring, the declining sales had finally started to recover. Next, I needed to revamp the aging product line and ramp up marketing efforts. Lately, I'd been working overtime until past midnight every day. I couldn't afford to slack off. Over on the Wong side, my mother had already sent Martin to the company to gain experience. Ever since the mistress my father had kept outside died in a car crash, my mother had personally brought Martin back home, even going so far as to declare that from now on, Martin was her own son. Before he passed away, my grandfather had split his shares equally between my mother and me. As far as I know, my mother has already given half of her shares to Martin. I've even contacted a Taoist priest. I'm planning to have him come by in a few days to check on her. I want to see if she's been cursed or possessed, like that mistress stole her soul. Willow's older brother died in a kidnapping when she was only 3 years old. From then on, she was the Liu family's only child. They had her registered under someone else's name, kept her identity hidden at school, and never brought her out in public. When my mother went to Liu's house to thank Mrs. Liu for bailing us out financially, I was sitting in the car and saw the Liu family's maid chasing after Willow, calling her little princess. That was the day I knew I should start sucking up to the spoiled, temperamental, hard-to-please pain in the neck named Willow in my class. She often got sick and had a bad temper. No one wanted to sit next to her. I dragged my desk over beside hers and said, "Don't worry, I'll sit with you." She gave me a frosty look and asked, "Why?" I said, "Because you're pretty." Her ears turned red, and she snapped awkwardly, "Say something like that again, and I'll hit you." I acted like a fool around her, putting on childish performances, but she didn't buy into it. She'd often roll her eyes and say I only knew how to sweet-talk people, then blush at the aloof, top-ranked student sitting in the front row. For years, my relationship with Willow was lukewarm at best. She ignored my efforts to please her, though she was slightly more tolerant of me than others. We would exchange gifts during holidays, and sometimes she'd hide behind her textbook during class to chat gossip with me. Everything changed after the earthquake at school. I shielded Willow and got seriously injured in the process. Her parents, traditional, old-school Confucian business people, saw how a promising young man like me ended up half-blind and half-crippled just to protect their daughter. The two families had been longtime family friends, so they immediately proposed a marriage alliance. Willow's mother held my hand and said, "I know who you are. Willow talks about you often. Back when all the kids isolated her, you were the only one who was kind to her." My family used to be on par with the Liu family, but after my grandparents fell ill and my mother brought my father into the company, everything nearly collapsed. Now, compared to the Liu family, we're worlds apart. If this marriage were secured, the paperwork my parents had been preparing to send me to a psychiatric hospital would have to be torn up. The woman my father kept outside, she'd never dream of becoming part of our family. As for that bastard son of his who kept provoking me, as long as I'm alive, he'll never get a single cent of the inheritance. What surprised me was that Willow, always proud, spoiled, and dismissive of me, actually agreed to the arranged marriage without resistance. During the 6 months I was blind, Willow, who used to nap in class and never took notes, suddenly started paying attention in every single lesson. She came to the hospital every day to tutor me, feed me, and gossip about the latest drama at school. She, who used to be cold and distant, slowly began to soften around me. Our relationship progressed rapidly during that time. More than once, I caught glimpses of something tender in her eyes, words she wanted to say but didn't. I was drawn to her background. I had my own agenda. My motives were never pure. I gambled everything, even my health, to carve out a path for myself. If I wanted to be a match for someone like Willow, I needed personal merit and value that would make her parents proud to associate with me, not just tolerate me. Once I recovered, I went insane with studying, barely sleeping, barely eating, and when college entrance exam scores came out, I outscored Willow by over 200 points. The Liu family held a celebratory banquet in my honor, and announced publicly that I would be their future son-in-law. They held my hand proudly the entire time as others came to offer their praise. For university, I chose a top economics and finance program. After graduation, I went abroad to continue my studies. Willow's parents were both workaholics, but they never neglected their home. On the contrary, they were unusually loving and attentive. They supported my education unconditionally, called often to check in on me, comforted me during times I felt lost. I did have schemes behind my feelings for Willow, but somewhere along the way, the lines blurred. Even I could no longer tell which was stronger, the emotion or the calculation. I liked the atmosphere in the Liu household. There was no tension, no constant yelling, no hitting, not even raised voices. My needs were respected. Everything I said, even the tiniest preferences, were remembered. They celebrated every one of my birthdays with grand festivities. It terrified me at first, but slowly, I began to crave it. I began to sink into that warmth. I didn't like scallions or ginger. Once they noticed. Whenever we had meals at their house, the dishes in front of me would be made without them. Even at dinners outside, no matter which of them I was dining with, they would always tell the staff, "He doesn't eat scallions or ginger. Please make these dishes in 2 versions. The portion in front of him should have none." I don't know why, but these little things stayed with me. They kept me up at night. I never knew what to say in return, so all I could do was awkwardly mumble, "I promise I'll never let you down. I'll take good care of Willow." It felt like the only value I could offer the Liu family. There's a hollow space inside me, something broken and drafty, something not even money or glory could ever fill. But in the Liu household, that emptiness slowly began to disappear. I was like a sewer rat, peeking into the warmth of the love they gave Willow, jealous and easily satisfied. Even a little affection, just spillover love because of her, was enough to make me lay down my life. I used to think my heart was as cold and sharp as a blade, that no pain, no despair could break me, that I was invincible. But I shattered, because of a single, gentle sentence from Willow's mother. She said, "George, more than anything else, your uncle and I just want you to take care of yourself. Do whatever you truly want to do. This is your home. We're your safety net. All we want is for you to be happy. You should work hard to become the version of yourself you like, a better version of yourself." I was overwhelmed. I broke down in tears, directionless, consumed with envy. Envy of Willow. Why did she get to be loved by so many? Even I loved her. I had always believed my feelings for her were nothing but calculation. No emotion, no weakness, until the day I was overseas and received a photo from Maria, a picture of Willow, in an intimate embrace with her boyfriend. I broke. In that instant of spiraling rage and heartbreak, I finally understood how deeply I cared for her. She was the one, whether she meant to or not, who pulled me from the mud and changed the trajectory of my life, and I hated her for it. I hated that she made my shattered heart beat again, only to crush it even more violently. If she had never chosen me, if she had always been unfaithful, that would have been easier to accept. But she chose me. She committed to me. She made me believe, gave me hope, and then she broke it with her own hands. For the longest time, the only thing keeping me alive and moving forward was the belief that I would graduate, marry Willow, have a child with her, build a thriving company, and live an ordinary, peaceful life with our big family. I even let go of my desire for revenge against my parents. All I wanted was warmth, stability, a home. Pathetic, right? But back then, that was what I wanted. Now, I don't want any of it. None of that will ever be my foundation again. The only thing I can rely on is myself. Any emptiness filled by someone else will one day collapse again. I have to patch that hole on my own. Even if my emotions are broken to begin with, I won't fall for Willow again. I refuse to be a fool twice. I won't let myself be softened by some illusion of family warmth and lose my edge. So I steadied my weak body and laughed as I cut off the tears Willow was shedding out of guilt and pity. Don't touch me, Willow, I said. Your tears are sticking to my face. They're filthy. We're both filthy, aren't we? But the difference is, I have always been stained and broken, and she shines, bright and pure, like the stars. Chapter 8. Lou's parents retired early, leaving the company in mine and Willow's hands. They spent their days at home, enjoying the comfort of family and playing with their grandchildren. Less than 2 months after the wedding, Willow got pregnant. During that time, she stayed at home, obedient and calm, waiting for the baby to arrive. I still remember the day the children were born. Everyone was thrilled. They were twins. But I felt like a rock had lodged itself in my chest. Not joy, not relief. Not until I secretly took strands of their hair and did a DNA test. Only after confirming they were mine did I finally smile from the heart. The old couple, one carrying each baby, beamed with joy. George, they said, you two go do your thing. We've got the kids. Looking at them, I couldn't help but soften. Even the frustration and suffocating pressure from work began to melt away in the warmth of that scene. And that frightened me. I fled, afraid that I'd fall too deep into it, into needing it. Willow's parents just had a natural ability to love. I was lucky to have their care. If it had been up to me to raise those kids, I'd probably end up turning them into someone like me. After our product line was restructured and our marketing strategy revamped, revenue doubled. Our company's products directly competed with the Wang Group's flagship industry. Under my aggressive push, Martin's side of the business began to crumble. Operations stalled. Employees jumped ship. Stocks were sold off like dead weight. When my mother came to see me, I was just finishing the handover to the new CEO. I was headed next to another underperforming subsidiary, coincidentally, one that competed with Wang Group's secondary division. Yes, that part was intentional. After everyone else left, my mother threw her purse on the floor and screamed. What are you trying to do? I replied calmly. Nothing much. I just think it's time the Wang Group got a new owner. Her face went pale. George, you can't do this. What about me and your father? That shameless woman is gone. She died. Your father and I finally got a few peaceful years. You can't do this. I smirked. Oh, but I will. She lost it, flung her bag at me, her voice shrill. You're forcing me to die. You've married Willow. Your grandfather left you an inheritance. You've got a good life now. Why are you still coming after us? Why? I easily blocked her, held her down, and said coldly. You want to know why? Because seeing you three, so happy, so united, pisses me off, Mom. She fell to her knees, begging, humiliated, and I sat tall, watching her from above, unbothered, almost regal. Mom, I said. Back then I told you, either you send me to the psych ward and finish me off, or one day, I'll turn this world upside down, and I'll make sure you never know peace again. Chapter 9. The day I left the capital to take over the branch office, Willow came to see me off. She said softly, come back soon. I smiled. If I come back late, won't that give you and your boyfriend more alone time to enjoy? She pressed her lips together. That ended a long time ago. I shrugged and walked away. Right before my flight, she texted me, come back soon. Let's live a good life together. Live a good life. Maybe in the next one. It took me 4 years to crush the Wang Group. I consolidated the shares, drove Martin out, and left no room for parasites. From then on, there was only one name behind the Wang Group. George Wang. No more bastard son stealing what was never theirs to begin with. Martin, in rags, screamed at me. You despicable piece of trash. You even destroyed your own family. You're nothing but a heartless monster. I smirked. Despicable. Heartless. That's called guts and strategy. You hillbilly. Maybe try growing a brain next time. The security guards threw him out. Then I straightened my tie and cheerfully sent my dear parents into a psychiatric facility. Clapping my hands with a bright grin, I said, well, turns out being your direct blood relative does have its perks. Isn't this what you once did to me? I gently fixed my mother's clothes and said, Mom, didn't you always worry Dad would cheat on you? Don't worry now, he's in a private ward. No chance of him finding a pretty lunatic to mess around with. You've had a smooth life for decades. Spent half your years being a lovesick fool. You were so used to getting your way, you forgot how to think. You got to act insane and be happy about it. And I was the one who had to suffer through all those years. I don't even know if this is justice or just tragedy. If you'd been good to me when I was a child, maybe I would have grown up to be someone like you. But you weren't. You were cruel. And I was forced to grow up too soon. And that's how I built something of my own. So really, Mom, I don't know if that was a blessing or a curse. But it doesn't matter anymore. I survived. And now? Now it's your turn to suffer. Chapter 10. Makoto tried to contact me again. I blocked his number. So he showed up at my company, stretching a bit, Shaking off some muscle soreness, I looked at him and said, "Why do you keep coming to me? Didn't get enough freeloading and want more, is that it? You keep disrupting my work. Keep it up and I'll make sure you cough up every bite you've ever eaten." Makoto stared at me, searching my face for any flicker of emotion. Then he smirked and said, "I came here to tell you, those 2 kids of yours, they're mine." I yawned, scribbled down Lou mother's phone number, and handed it to him. "That's my mother-in-law's number, Willow's mom. Go talk to her. See what she thinks about that." He gripped the paper tight. "You really don't care?" I spread my hands and gave him a slow, amused smile. "If you're hell-bent on destroying yourself, I've got no reason to stop you." He let out a cold laugh. "Fine, let's see who laughs last." That evening, I came home carrying 2 oversized stuffed animals. A little boy and girl came running up, throwing themselves into my arms. "Daddy, Daddy, you're home. Mommy almost got beat to death." I chuckled, watching them struggle to carry plush toys bigger than they were, panting behind me. "Stay out of grown-up stuff. Take your sister to the basement and go play with the dolls." The boy stood up straight and saluted. "Yes, sir, Dad. Mission accepted." Willow's face was swollen from the slaps. She choked out, "I never slept with him." Lou mother was trembling with rage. "If you didn't cheat, then why the hell is he saying those kids are his?" Willow screamed, "I really didn't sleep with him. The kids are George's. If you don't believe me, we can do a DNA test." Just before Willow was about to be beaten to death, I finally stepped in. "I believe her," I said. Only then did the storm die down. Willow had to be hospitalized. Her injuries were too severe. After she was discharged, I began sleeping in a separate room. Work had piled up. The Wang family's business was finally back in my hands, and there was everything to rebuild. I was working around the clock, barely holding myself together. When Willow came into my office, she blurted out, "I swear I never slept with him. I only helped him out financially because I was angry at you. I wanted to provoke you. I wanted to see if you'd care, if you'd react, but you didn't. You were cold. Just like Martin said, from the start, you never really cared about me. You only approached me because of the Liu family." I looked up from my computer and said, "Honestly, Willow, if you hadn't brought all this up, I would have completely forgotten about whatever we had. Work's been so overwhelming. I barely have time to remember any of that. And Martin's right. I did come to you with an agenda, and I still don't understand you people, always going on about how love should be about the person, not what they have. Tell me, what even is a person? What's this so-called true self you're supposed to love?" I paused, then continued. "I'm not asking you this because I expect an answer. What I want to say is, how can anyone truly know what's inside another person? What you see, what you feel, it's always someone's outward appearance, their behavior, actions, expressions. At best, these reflect a person's personality, values, or education, but none of those equal someone's essence. And if something can never be truly known, how can you base love on it? That's why love is always for the surface, the exterior. There is no such thing as falling for someone's true self. That's a fantasy. I couldn't have loved you for no reason. Willow, that kind of thinking is absurd to me. I've always believed people only stick together when their interests are deeply bound." I let out a soft sigh. "Willow, I'm sorry. No, I didn't fall for you. Not for who you are deep inside, but I did save your life. Can't we at least get along as family from now on? You're a good mother. The kids adore you." I was trying to reason with her. Given my current position, a divorce scandal was something I couldn't afford. The company stock would nosedive overnight. Her lashes lowered. Her voice was hoarse, trembling with emotion. "George, we're supposed to be lovers. Family has its own place, but I'm supposed to be the one you love." I lit a cigarette and looked out at the $1 million fortune tree by the window. I said gently, "Let's just make do, Willow. So many married couples live with polite distance. At the very least, we're both capable business people. We shouldn't be crying over love. We need to pull ourselves together, work hard, and build more for our children." I grew more energized as I spoke. Think about those useless parents who always pin their hopes on their kids becoming successful. We won't be like that. We'll become the success ourselves. We'll be the dragon and phoenix they look up to. Just like that, I wiped away all the sadness in the room with my motivational speech. I talked so much I was parched. I said, "Even if it's just for the kids, Willow, don't you think it's worth it?" She turned her face away, refusing to look at me, drowning in her own emotions. I got tired of coaxing. "All right then, I'll get back to work. When you're done crying, go check on the kids. We've got a meeting first thing in the morning. Don't let personal drama affect your job." Right then, the housekeeper Lisa came in with tea. Seeing Willow crying so hard, she began stomping her foot in frustration. "Madam, if you're going to cry, go back to your own room. Don't disturb the young master's work. You're grown but you're acting like a child, haven't learned a damn thing." I secretly gave Lisa a like, gotta give my mouth double a raise later. Now, back to work. Let's go. Another day of hustling to make money for the kids.